Okay, here we go. And here is another fucking shit story about Ohio medical care. And I don't know if this is everywhere. Feel free to let me know your story. But this is Ohio, Northeast. And it is 1:56, May 11th on a Monday. If you don't know, I have been dealing with an internal fungal overgrowth that has infected my organs, my lymphatic system, my eyes, my skin. And I cannot get any health care. I've been suffering for 9 years with this shit. And this is my story. So feel free to look at other videos. I am going to tell you things that should terrify you, whether you are a healthcare worker or a patient experiencing symptoms that you cannot explain, or have been diagnosed with fibromyalgia, MS, Parkinson's. There are so many things, okay? Not everything is this, but this is enough of them. When I contracted the fungus from my home or my grounds, the soil that I live in and it surrounds me as a gardener, was right before I had my thyroid removed. And most likely because there was no cancer and there was no abnormalities other than it just decided to grow, it was because of this infection. I started to develop a chapped nose. It was painful. The mucus was not producing any kind of fluid, so it was chapped, dried, bleeding, and a problem. When I saw my ENT and talked to him about this issue with my nose, he said, and I quote, "It looks like you've killed off all your good bacteria. Huh, that's weird. Here's some antibiotics and a nasal spray." And it helped. Okay, so I didn't think anything of it until it came back, until it came back, until it came back, until it came back. And every time I would use the antibiotic and it would recede. Now, that ENT did not look into why all of my good bacteria was dead. Instead, he carried on and scheduled my thyroidectomy. I had my thyroidectomy with an obvious sign of a fungal infection. Did not know it then, I know it now. After my surgery, I manifested all kinds of problems. I developed Zika, I developed tinnitus, I developed all kinds of things. My stomach blew up. I was having symptoms of IBS. I was having GERD. I was having chronic fatigue. And this is how it went on and on and on. And over the course of almost 9 years, I have seen 37 specialists. Some of that is because I herniated my back, because these doctors are so shit that I gained 100 pounds because they did not medicate me properly. You remove a thyroid, you have to replace the thyroid hormone. They did not. They put me on 50 micrograms. My by-weight dosage at the time, and again, I knew none of this, 284 micrograms a day. They had me on a supplemental dosage for 19 weeks of 50 micrograms per day. I gained a lot of weight. I had 3 herniations. Those herniations became unbearable. And because Ohio is a Republican state, and I don't want to hear anything, nothing, because of the policies put in place, the healthcare system will not let you have pain medications until you do certain things. That is true everywhere, but that is especially true here, and I am comparing that with people in painful situations in other states who have received tramadol, or gabapentin doesn't work for me. They did try gabapentin. Instead, I have talked to several pain management specialists, which should not enjoy that title, who use psychiatric medications off-label for pain management of negligible amounts of pain. And so, I have had severe adverse reactions. I have had mental health crises. I have had extreme mental and emotional just instabilities. I have suffered pulled muscles from anxiety so severe that that's what happened. I have suffered because they will not use pain medications. If you don't know, the CDC does have regulatory policy on pain medications, and these doctors still refuse, because in order to give you pain management, they have to, with opioid pain medications, they have to hold up their end of the bargain, which means piss tests, pill counting, and sometimes access to rehab services in case you start to develop an addiction, and they don't want to do that. And I have that. I have doctors saying, I don't want to, while you suffer. And I have been. Because when fungus gets into your lymphatic system, they all blow up and they feel like glass underneath your skin. It is a very painful situation to be in. Knowing all of that, as this has developed over years, I finally 8 months ago got a sign that it was fungal. Until then, we'd been chasing symptoms. And no doctor is educated on candidiasis. None of them. I don't give a shit. I have never found a doctor who was educated on candidiasis, not even infectious disease, which I find abhorrent, considering what my life has been. Suffering to the point of wishing I was dead. And then they cite, you have suicidal ideation, you have SI. Well, no shit. And also, I would like to point out to anybody listening to this that not wanting to live anymore in the life you are living is not the same thing as wanting to kill yourself. I don't want to die. I just don't want to wake up in this body anymore. And the absolute travesty of the fact that I feel that way is that I have been fighting every single day. I have seen so many doctors, and I have heard things. Don't be a martyr. Even if you had something, we wouldn't be able to treat it, and I'm retiring in 3 months, so I don't have anything to add. Excuse me? I have filed grievances. I had my latest doctor who, first of all, did not know the difference between candidiasis of the systemic in your organs and candidiasis in your blood, which I believe is a different term. I've heard candidiasis, I've heard a couple others. Even the literature is not cohesive on this issue. This is exceptionally painful. I have done my due diligence, put in hundreds, if not 1,000 hours of research into Candida and what it does to your body. And it disrupts your glucose homeostasis, which causes what? Diabetes. But because they don't give a shit why you have diabetes, and I have that on record also, they don't care why. They want to treat it. You can have diabetes because your gut is bad. You can have diabetes because your pancreas is bad. You can have diabetes because your liver is bad. And Candida attacks every single one of them. And specifically and purposefully targets your glucose regulating system because it feeds on glucose. It is competing for you, for your sugar. That's why you have chronic fatigue. That's why your muscles don't want to and can't function well. It's not getting the energy the Candida is. And Candida overgrowth in the gut biome causes so many problems. Yet we do not understand the symptoms and we do not treat it. Why? Why? There are over 150 strains of Candida. Several of them are not white. Several of them are clear. So when they look at you, you do not have the general symptoms of fungal, like thrush. Thrush is presented with white circular patches of fungus in a type of fungus that has 150 strains and several of them are clear. Do you understand why not being educated as a doctor puts you in a horrific position when people's lives are on the line? Because candidiasis of the systemic, of the organs, is fatal. Candida in your bloodstream is exceptionally fatal. And yet now they have stopped taking blood throat cultures. They do not throat culture. I was laughed at by an ENT. We don't culture things we can't see. Quote. That's a quote from an ENT whose entire field of study is a foundation of cultures. What? He laughed and proceeded to say it could be something or it could be nothing to my face. After 8 years and more studying and research on the subject than he has, very obviously. I have been to every major hospital system. I have been to more doctors than I have fingers and toes for. I am tired. I am soul worn, and I am dying from something that just needs fluconazole and very good monitoring. Because when you treat fungus and it is out of control and it is in a great number in your body, it releases toxins that overwhelm your organs and shut them down. 20% of the time people die from treating fungal infections that are severe. I need you to hear that. Because even if I find a doctor that will do a test that doesn't exist in this part of the state, I could still die because they don't know enough. Herxheimer is a very real reaction that kills people. And even when I find doctors that are somewhat educated, I still get arrogance and egotism in the face of knowledge and research. I have been to more doctors who have not touched me, looked at me, followed up with the symptoms that I tell them I have. I have 5 years of recording videos and of taking recordings of my visits and recording my grievance sessions, and I have recorded phone calls where in every single one I am dismissed with their lack of education or their abundance of arrogance and self-importance. Today, my fiance, who went to the VA and got a swab done in one meeting with his very good and rare doctor, was positive with black mold. Something botrous. I just knew it, and I just don't know it because I'm so angry. I am so angry. I can't shower. I am so angry. I can't walk. I am so angry. I hurt when I eat. I am so angry. He got a swab that appointment. He popped positive for black mold in his mouth. He got a referral to infectious disease. He just called me. He went to infectious disease with a positive test, a positive throat culture. An infectious disease, in their ignorance, fungus in the mouth is common. Candida is airborne. It's common in your mouth. It creates thrush when it gets out of hand. And if your immune system drops, it can overgrow in your mouth, in your body. That's what a yeast infection is, ladies. However, that's not black mold. And just so you understand why I keep conflating the terms, black mold is a fungus. Yeast is a fungus. Why they call them what they do, I have no clue. It's probably about the continued ignorance of medical terms being used before they understood and continued to being used, because we don't ever audit healthcare and medical terms or information. It is rampant with issues like that. And he informed me that because funguses are common in the mouths and seem to have absolutely no understanding or knowledge of the test results that were supposed to be sent with the referral, because I got chewed out by Cleveland Clinic Infectious Disease that I did not have the proper testing to even enact an appointment setting with them. And he pointed that out. And that infectious disease doctor dismissed him, told him there was nothing he could do for him except for put in a blood test, where candidiasis is only 1 in 7 or 8 times. There are several versions of this. Candidiasis is like saying itis. You have laryngitis. You have something wrong with your larynx and it is red and inflamed. We don't know what it is. It's a general term. Candidiasis is a general term of candida overgrowth in an area. Understanding that candidiasis, to the point of creating a health concern, is only 1 in, I want to say 8, in the blood, and is severely deadly when it is. And he had a positive test for black mold in his mouth. He was sent home. He was sent home. Sorry, we can't help you. There's no words. There's no words. We've been suffering with this. Our dog died with my same symptoms, just more severe. And it all clicks into place over 8 months ago, and I have been fighting like hell. And he finally got the care in 1 appointment that I have been seeking for almost a year, because apparently you need a penis to become a patient. And he is dismissed because this doctor of infectious disease is either uneducated or unwilling to treat him. I called a lawyer. That lawyer said, sorry, no helpy. Excuse me? The laws are written the way that they are. Malicious negligence is the only term that I can think of for what I have been going through, and this action today. I feel like I am the most educated expert on Candida. It took me one weekend to find the information correlating to my symptoms once I understood what I was looking for. Because Candida presents very specific. This rash on my face, this, when I go out into the sunlight, blows up. It literally gets a 1/4 inch thick, rough and full of pustules that are like flour. And if you've ever used yeast, you know it. That's Candida rash. That is absolute textbook. Why doesn't any doctor in this godforsaken fucking state know textbook Candida? And when it's out of control. But the thing that really got me was the fact that that infectious disease doctor, when he asked, where do we get the test? Cited Cleveland Clinic. Go to Cleveland Clinic. I called 8 months ago when I was trying to get the test. I called Cleveland Clinic and talked to one of the lab techs. And you can go to Cleveland Clinic lab. They put it all online. They do not do the fungal culture anymore because they have deemed it less effective and accurate than the blood test. I will repeat, Candida only manifests in the blood when it's in the blood, which it only is 1 out of 8 or 9 times. It is the most deadly. It is the most deadly. It is not the only deadly. It is not the only painful. It is not the only systemic destroying infection of Candida. Candida causes diabetes. Candida causes cirrhosis liver, fatty liver, pancreatitis. My gallbladder was thickened, whatever that means. It is in my lymph system. I am so exhausted with chronic fatigue and pain that I cannot walk around my house with nearly not being able to open a sliding glass door. I have tremors. It's in my eye. I'm losing my vision. It knocks around in the fluid inside of your eye and destroys the cells that let you see, and you develop blind spots. I have all of the symptoms. No doctor, PCP or otherwise, has even touched me. And it wasn't until the one that helped me discover it, through an accident, I might add, of giving me the wrong medication and almost killing me that way because I had a massive allergic reaction to it. I explained to him that I get what is called supraclavicular edema because these lymph nodes aren't working. You can see that, maybe. I can't get my hair off of me. See the swelling? Do you see the swelling? I am fat. And as a fat person, they don't like to touch you. I have Candida tongue. It's when the center and the bottom, the tip of your tongue, become darkened and painful. I have bumps in my mouth and my soft palate. I have a fungal growth on the edge of my cornea. Just growing there. I have floaters that look like cotton candy. I can see the fungus coating my eyes. You can see it. This is not some little thing. My lymph nodes are swollen. My lymph adjacent circulatory doctor is trying to diagnose me with an extremely rare, only affecting 130,000 people in the entire United States. Maybe. Because he says that they are fat tumors. It affects women of my age group who are obese, so that must be what it is. Because swollen lymph nodes aren't painful. Which is a fucking lie. It's either a lie or he's uneducated. Either way, he shouldn't be practicing. Especially not when he leaned over and said, I don't really know anything about the lymph system, but it's kind of like part of what I have to do here. I'm tired. And I am done with this fucking state trying to kill me. And now, after my dog is dead, my cat is sick, my man is pop positive, and I am in excruciating fucking suffering every goddamn day of my life, they are willfully withholding treatment. He said, well, if they don't do the test, and I mean he by the infectious disease doctor today, if they don't do the test at Cleveland Clinic, then I can't do the test. There is an independent laboratory that does throat cultures. The VA got a throat culture. In exactly 1 month, my fiance got more health care from one doctor who was not an egotistical, uneducated asshole, and where she was uneducated, she didn't care. If you needed a test, she did the fucking test. So he got the test because I insisted, and I didn't have to fight for it. I didn't have to argue about it. I just said, I think this is it. And she said, no problem. What the fuck, Ohio? Why? I have been to a cancer center. My blood work has been so bad. And do you know what the hematologist at the Hope Cancer Center in Ohio diagnosed me with? Fat with bad teeth. I'm just going to let that sit for a minute. I was albumin deficient, protein deficient, B12 deficient, and vitamin D deficient. B12 and D vitamins are deficient in Candida patients because B12 and D specifically are your antifungal vitamins in your body. They're depleted because they are working overtime to keep your shit in check. If I miss a B12 injection every month, I get 1 cc of B12 every month. In 3 months, I will be at 200. B12 at 200 will cause permanent damage to your brain. Dementia-like symptoms that can become permanent. I have done my due diligence. I have done their work for them, and I am fucking tired of being a doctor and not getting paid for it while I get to watch myself die of an infection that is so easily treated that if had been treated before my surgery would not have taken hold in my body. So, my sister watched my last video and she said, well, you could explain to the people what's going on so that they know what's going on. So this is that. I look like shit because I can't take showers. The heat from the shower will kick up my POTS, which is a symptom of the immune system in overdrive. I don't have enough blood. I don't understand that. Except, I do understand that. Candida makes your veins stretchy. If you have bulging veins that are not varicose veins. Varicose veins are veins that give out, but they're not the same. Bulging veins, a large bulge. Think of frog's throat, a large bulging. I have multiple areas that have bulges. that bulge when I put pressure on the vein. So what happens when I stand up? And so I don't have enough blood. My blood pressure stays the same while my heart rate goes through the roof. 154 within 60 seconds of standing. Limits my ability to walk. My pain is excruciating. I have used the words inhumane, untenable, unmanageable, suffering. And people say, well, do something else. I have cried. I have been angry. I have been stoic. I have been educated. I have played dumb. I have done everything that I can do to interact with doctors who are just too ignorant and arrogant to do anything. Pain management, listen to me. If you are standing on a morality or fucking self-ethical soapbox of not using opioid medications, get a job at Walmart. You are hurting people. Chronic pain sufferers are the highest incidence of suicide, not because they're being medicated with opioids, you fucking idiots. It is because you are not medicating their chronic and disfiguring life quality amounts of fucking pain. That is a third of your arsenal. The APA put out a statement, or was going to years ago, about how off-label uses of psychiatric medication is causing a mental health crisis when there was an uptick of up to 37% of using off-label psychiatric medications. Do you know what happens to somebody who is not diagnosed yet of the bipolar they may be suffering with, and they are put on an antidepressant? Ask the man who murdered his twin children. Ask him. It causes a severe mental break. Severe. And I am tired of being the only one who is advocating for this shit and then being turned away when I do. They refuse to see me again, Dr. Dasu, at Southwoods. Even though I have evaluations 4 years in the making of my nervous system and how it is failing me, he refuses to see me because I told him so. You are not pain management then. You are not using medication used for pain that has a CDC regulatory guideline that holds you responsible because you don't wanna. Well, I'm afraid of causing detrimental health effects, especially to the older patients, by using opioids. Do you know what I would choose? If it was an addiction to pain medication that I need, and being able to walk, do dishes, have sex with my fucking lover, not be soul crushed under the depression and the pain, constant, be concerned, work concerned. Every medication has its drawbacks and its side effects and the possibility of death or disfigurement or whatever. All you got to do is watch TV and listen to the commercials. Fucking anal leakage is almost a requirement of medication these days. I'm tired. I'm angry. If you're tired and you're angry, please, for the love of God, contact me, because Tuesday I'm going to Cleveland Clinic, and then I am going to go to the government, and then I am going to go to the news. I will fucking make a mark in this world before it takes me out. I am literally dying going blind, living a suffering life, and I'm not anymore. He went in with a positive test for black mold in his fucking mouth and was turned away. The blood test is not going to concur with that finding. And the amount of ignorance to make that man's statement when he's withholding medication. Then we'll put in for a blood test, and if that comes back positive, I can give you the medication. What the fuck? The survivability of a systemic candidiasis is deadly enough that there have been papers written on the viability of those pressure chambers, oxygenation chambers, to try and save more people who have a Herxheimer reaction. This is not something they should be uneducated on. And Ohio is one of the hottest states in the United States for fungal infections. What are you doing, Ohio? What the fuck are you doing? If you have a suggestion for how to make complaints, for how to hold these places and these people accountable, please make a comment. If you have a suggestion for a lawyer who would be more than happy to take a malicious negligent case, my last doctor, when I told him I needed a fungal infection, a throat culture, did a throat culture. For pharyngitis, a viral culture. And then sent in a referral for infectious disease for me, after I've been working so fucking hard, for acute pharyngitis. If you haven't noticed, I am losing my back, so I am falling forward. I have no energy. I don't want to live in this body anymore. And so the rage is all I have left. And Dr. Miller needs to fucking lose his goddamn job. That is willful, malicious negligence and sabotage of my health care. So please, if you see this, share it. If you think anybody has any of the symptoms that I have described to you, share it. I'm going to do my best to advocate for all of us, but especially to advocate for me and my home, because this is fucking... It's like ludicrous on steroids. It's like I have seen a version of healthcare that I can't unsee. It takes 6 to 7 years for a man to get diagnosed with a chronic illness. It is estimated that 130 million Americans are living with undiagnosed chronic ailments. And it takes women 8 to 10 years to get diagnosed with a chronic illness, and I have the proof of why. Sorry for the shaking. I am getting tired. But I am done. Follow and comment if you are fucking done to.